Well, I hope they can get it sorted for you.
Good morning, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more people to join before we officially start. Welcome. We'll be starting the presentation in another minute or two. Good morning for those that have just joined. We're just waiting for a few more attendees to join, probably in about another 30 seconds, and we'll start our presentation. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 2025 Greentree User Group webinar. We are thrilled to have you all here today. It's our biggest session yet, and with over 60 registrations. So we're really excited that you could join us today and share the content with us that we have got to show you. Before we get started, just a few quick housekeeping notes. If you could please stay on mute during the presentation. If you have any questions or any feedback, if you could drop them into the Q&A box at the top of the meeting, and our team will be monitoring that box or those questions during and at the end of this session. We will try and get through as many of those questions as possible. If we run out of time, we will follow up with you individually to make sure that we provide an answer to everything that has been asked. Today's session will be a mixture of both live presentations and some pre-recorded content to showcase key features. And we are recording the webinar, and we'll send out the recording to you after the session has been concluded. Okay, so for those that don't know me, my name is Penny Boland. I'm the Group CEO for Verde Group. Verde is made up of three companies that are specialising in different ERP products. We have Verde, which you're the most familiar with, which focuses on our Greentree customers. We also have Advanced Solutions, which specialises in the MYOB Acumatica ERP product, and Project Salsa, which is focused on the Oracle NetSuite application. Today, I'm joined by some of our Greentree team, including Nicola Ashburner and Vlad Kozak, who are our client relationship managers. We also have Ashlyn and Michelle joining, are two of our senior consulting team, and there are other members of our team on the meeting as well. So we have a really busy agenda for you today, covering a lot of key updates and insights. These include a Greentree standard product update with new releases and features, some of our Verde customisations that we've done recently for customers that may be of interest or use to you. We also have a demonstration for an add-on that we are particularly passionate about called Appenate, which is being used in quite a number of our customers across a number of our applications that we support. A tips and tricks session in terms of useful information that you might know or not have forgotten, and new apps and featured apps. And at the end of our session, we'll run a Q&A session through the questions, but obviously an opportunity to put anything in that you would like to know or follow up with for us. So these beautiful people are some of our members of our Verde group team, and you can see we're not aging at all as a company. We are all as youthful as we ever were. Across our group, we have 26 staff, and within that, there are 10 highly experienced senior Greentree consultants. We have Kent Radford joined us in 2023 as a project manager, dedicated to project delivery across all of our companies. And we also had Michelle O'Reilly and Mandy Raymond join us, I think it was 2023 now, in terms of our Greentree team, both coming from our client base with a significant amount of experience in Greentree. Michelle is responsible for managing our Greentree support desk. So many of you would have dealt with her through inquiries to that facility. You will be familiar with Steve Lewin, of course, and Louisa, who look after our Let's and Approvals area for that. And then we also, within the broader team, have Wayne and Juanita, who are responsible for sales and marketing, and Annalise, who runs our finance operation. We work collaboratively, and what that means for us is that we spread our knowledge and our expertise across our customers so that you have multiple points of contact, and so that there will always be someone available to help you and support you with the right expertise when you need it. So we're really proud of our team. For those that don't know, most of our team have been with us for over 14 years, and really enjoy just what the value they can add through their Greentree knowledge and working with our Greentree customers. We can take a slight tangent from Greentree at the moment just to move into AI and look at where this might play in the future. So we recently attended both the Suite World Conference, which is for NetSuite, and the Acumatica Summit Conference and actually got to see firsthand some of the incredible AI enhancements and features that are coming out in those particular products and the impact that they're having on businesses overall. Verde as a group, we're really looking at how we can utilise AI to not only drive our own efficiency and our service delivery, but how we can help our customers work in this area and what we would use, recommend in terms of offerings or solutions that might add value. So, for example, this particular meeting will be, we have being recorded by Fireflies AI, which will summarise the meeting, allow us to, search and replay and look for particular content and actually understand the insights that we can gain from the meeting in terms of sentiment expressed during the meeting. So in terms of understanding what we'd like to do is to run a survey or a quick poll within this meeting to understand your use of AI or how you feel that this will play in your business, whether it's something you're looking at or not. It's not futuristic, it is happening right now. So on your screen right now, there are some quick questions that we're just going to poll, and we will share the insights with you so you can understand where you fit across a broad spectrum and see what happens. So if you could just take the time to work through the poll, that'd be appreciated. We ran a similar poll internally within our team, and it was interesting to understand how many people were actually already using tools within their jobs, etc., and what some of the real benefits and savings could be. Good. Juanita, do you think that's enough time? Are you happy with that?
There's still some responses coming in, so if we can just give it and a few more.
Okay, great. Good. Okay, well, obviously, thank you so much for that. I think it's really interesting to understand what is currently in play and where you see it adding an advantage, and we will work through that with you where possible in the future. Right, that's enough from me. Let's hand over to the real people who do for the majority of the presentation. The first thing we're going to do is look at the Greentree product updates, and I'm going to hand over to Ashlyn for that to talk us through what is new and what is coming next. Thanks very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Ash, and I've pre-recorded some of the new update features that are coming out or that have already come out in the 2024 releases. So I've tried to keep the videos nice and concise. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A or reach out to your consultant after the meeting.
In version 2024.1, Greentree released a new email validation feature. This feature works across all fields that capture an email address in Greentree, so across customers, suppliers, HR records, when you're bulk sending invoices and credit notes, or when you're sending a single invoice via the reports menu. So under the system menu, system setup and general system preferences, on the email tab there's now a new field called address validation, and in here you have three options: none, warning and error. So if you choose none, Greentree doesn't validate the email address field. If you choose warning, it'll display a warning but still allow a user to save a record or send an invoice. Or error, which won't allow the user to save a record or send an email from Greentree. So if we take a look at how this works, on my system here I've got it set to error. So if I go to data entry, accounts receivable, and choose a customer, I'll just choose the first one in my list. So this email address here, sonia@verde.co.nz, if I remove the @ symbol and change this to an underscore and click save, it produces an error saying that the email address is not valid. I could completely remove the underscore, so now it's just a string of text, and click save. It still produces an error. And if I change this back to sonia@verde.co.nz, it should now allow me to save. And there we go. Also in version 2024.1, Greentree have added some improvements to the Query Designer reporting tool. They have added custom elements to data views, and they now allow you to run and schedule multiple queries at the same time and output queries to a file based on a schedule. So if we start with custom elements, under System, Utilities, Query Designer, and then View Builder, I'm going to pick one that I've already created. So here we've got AR invoice, and I've added some fields. On the right hand side here, there's a new button called Custom Elements. And if you click the Add button, you get a drop-down list of the 3 different field types we can create. So let's start with a constant. And I'm going to call this constant transaction type. And I'm going to set the value to AR invoice. So this is just going to print AR invoice on each row for me. And I'm going to drag that into my view, and I'm going to make it the second field that's displayed. Then I'm going to add a calculation. So I want to calculate the LC net amount and LC tax amount to give me the total invoice amount. So let's call this total invoice, and I'm going to bring up LC net amount, drag that in there. I've got plus, minus, times and divide. I'm going to choose plus, and then I want LC tax amount, and I'm going to drag that into here. So now I've got LC net plus LC tax equals total invoice, and click OK. So I'm going to drag that over here. And I've already created a query that's going to export all AR invoices dating back to 2023. But I want to categorize my invoices by year. So I can do that by creating a conditional field. So if I click add, choose conditional, and I'm going to call this field sales year. And it's basically creating an if statement for me. So when I click the ellipsis button, I get another set of filters, and I'm going to pull up my document date and drag that across. I'm going to say is after or equal to the 1st of the 1st, 2023. And then I'm going to add another one and drag document date across. I'm going to say is before or equal to 31/12/2023. So any invoice that's dated between the 1st of January 23 and the 31st of December 2023 equals 2023. And then I can plus to add another if statement. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. So find my document date, drag that across, is after or equal to the 1st of the 1st, 2024, plus, drag document date over, is before or equal to the 31st of the 12th, 2024, click OK. Then I want to return 2024, else return 2025. So I know I'm only extracting sales invoices from 2023 onwards, so anything that isn't captured by an if statement should be from 2025, and I can just display 2025. Click OK. So now I've got my conditional field sales year, and I can drag that over here. My invoice total, I want that formatted, and I want that to total at the bottom. There we go. So I can save that, and I can preview it. So my transaction type was a constant field, and it returns AR invoice, so everything is AR invoice. My total invoice is summing the net column and the tax column together to give me the total invoice value. And then my sales year is a conditional field that's looking at the document date to return the year that the sales transaction occurred in. There we go, we've got some 24s as well. Perfect. So then if we look at the new scheduling tool, so Greentree have created a new window for us. So under System, Utilities, Query Designer, we now have Extract Management. So I started building one earlier called Sales Extract. So you give your extract a name, a code and a name, and if you want to group, you might have multiple sales reports that you want to run together, which you can do under this one sales extract configuration. So you choose the class of your query designer report. So in this case, AR invoice, and I called my view and query AR invoice as well. But I should be able to see all of them. So this is everything that we have in our demo system. I'm just going to stick with the AR invoice for now. And then we come over to the Run Extracts tab. So this is where I define the location that I want to save the file in, or files. So I click the ellipsis button, and I've created a directory under the eDrive user group meeting. Click OK. And then the file mask is going to be the name of the file that's outputted. So if I click the ellipsis, I get a whole lot of variables that I can choose from. So I want it to be the query name, and I choose insert, and it adds it to the file mask. And then I'm going to put in an underscore, and then I want it to be today's date compacted. Whoops, don't drag and drop. Click insert. So it's going to be my query description and then today's date for my file name. Then I can choose the file type that I want it to be exported as. So I've got the choices of XML, text, HTML, CSV. So I'll go for CSV. And then just above that, it gives you an example of what the file name is going to be. So customer query underscore 9th of March 2025.csv. Just like when I run the query in Greentree, I can choose to limit the output to the first 100,000 lines if I want, or I can leave that unticked and it'll return everything. Then I can choose the companies that I want to run this query for. So I'm going to choose all of them. And I could choose Run Now, or I can schedule it. And it's just like scheduling any other report on the print and task queue. So if I set up a schedule and say I want this to run daily at 7:30 a.m. and then click OK. Then if I go to the print and task queues, I can see that that is scheduled. So if I go to System, Utilities, Processing System Status and Setup, and then I can see I've got a multi-query job for sales extract that's going to run at 7:30 in the morning. And then for this demo, I'll also click Run Now. And if I go to the eDrive user group meeting, I can see that it's created my AR invoice query extracts. And what I should have noted earlier is that it creates an export for each company that you enable back in the extract configuration screen. So there is a file for each company that I've ticked on in the extract screen. For those of you that use the Reports and Documents module, the account group maintenance or account security screen has been simplified from 2024.1 onwards. So under System, General Ledger, Financial Report Designer, and Account Group Maintenance. This is an account group in the demo system. previously there was a delete and update button at the bottom of the form, so if you added a branch to the tree you'd have to click the update button. Now any changes you make, you just click the save button, which is consistent with other forms across Greentree. If you want to delete a branch, then you can highlight the branch you want to delete and click the rubbish bin, or you can right mouse click on the branch and choose delete branch. If you want to add a new branch, they've also simplified this. So you can right mouse click on an existing branch and choose add new branch, and it looks like you're maintaining a tree. And they also confirm the parent branch that this branch will be added to. So if I add a new one under Auckland, and call it Central, click OK, and it's added to the tree for me. And you can carry on adding your GL account or GL account masking as normal with your user selections, and click save when complete. As part of a security update, Greentree now allows system administrators to default the output file format from XML to XLSX. So on under the system menu, system setup, general system preferences, on the main tab there's now a tick box to say use XLSX format when exporting to Excel, where previously this defaulted to XML. So if we have a look at a query designer report, for example, system utilities, query designer, view builder, if I choose the one we looked at earlier, AR invoices, and run that query, now when I right mouse click on the column headings and choose launch table contents in, I get the XLSX option instead of XML. This also comes with changes to the XL add-in, where previously this was an XLA, it has been upgraded to an XLAM. So this means when you upgrade through version 2024.1, you will need to reinstall the free Greentree add-in in Excel to pick up the new file format of XLAM. In version 2024.1, you can now give users access to delete attachments on records that are read-only. So this might be an AP invoice that's in a prior period, or a transaction that's been reconciled on a bank statement, for example, and there is an attachment that isn't relevant to the transaction that's been entered. So a user with the correct permissions can now delete that attachment. So to do this, on user maintenance, we go to the user preferences, and you can either set it on the CRM preferences or on the workflow preferences. So if we click the CRM button, in the attachments section here, you can see this user can already delete attachments, and if we tick this, the user will also be able to delete attachments when a record is read-only. And the same setting on the workflow button is under privileges in the attachment section. So can delete attachments and can delete attachments when a document is read-only. And we click OK. In the workflow module, approvals and alerts rules can now determine when a rule task has been added, changed, or removed. This allows changes to ANA rules to be controlled by another ANA rule, preventing unintentional changes to your rules. So in the demo system here, I've created a new rule. It's form driven based on new rules, changed rules, or deleted rules. Under the conditions, it checks if the logged in user is part of a team, in this case the rules admin team. You could have another set of criteria if you like. And then on the actions tab, it aborts the save or delete of the ANA rule. So with the user that I'm currently logged in with, if I move to the previous rule and set it as inactive and click save, it won't allow me because my ANA rule says that I don't have permission and I need to be part of the ANA rules admin team. And finally, in the 2024.1 release, a new system script has been created that lets you check that sales order line item statuses are correct and consistent with the sales order headers. The script is called check and update order line and header statuses. So sometimes when you delete an AR invoice or a packing slip that's linked to a sales order, the line statuses can become inconsistent with the header status. So this is your line status and your header status. So Greentree have created a new system script under sales orders. And when you run the script, you can either choose a single sales order or sales orders within a range to check and validate the line status to the header status. In version 2024.2, Greentree have made it easier to create and manage job cost activity codes and their associated activity groups. If you're creating one or two activity codes, you can now add it to an activity code group from the activity code maintenance screen. So under System, Job Cost, Activity Code Maintenance, once you've created your new activity code, you tick it as available for activity groups and then move to the Activity Groups tab where you can add it to its associated groups. So I'm going to tick Finance here and save. And then when I look at the associated group and refresh, I can see it's added my activity code to that group.
Greentree have streamlined the way you enter purchase order receipts onto the system. They've added a new PO number field onto the header of purchase order receipt entry. If you know the purchase order number you need, enter the PO into the new PO number field. This automatically enters the supplier details for that purchase order and takes you to the Select Order tab where the purchase order is automatically selected. Alternatively, if you start entering the supplier's details into the header, then the purchase order number field lets you choose a PO that's outstanding for that supplier. Selecting a purchase order takes you to the Select Order tab where the purchase order is automatically selected. So let's take a look. This is a purchase order that I've entered into the system. And if I come to the purchase order receipt entry screen, I can enter my PO number, which is 101914. And if I select it, it's taken me straight to the Select Order tab and selected that purchase order. And if I come back to the receipt header, I can see my supplier details have been filled in for me. If I clear this screen and enter the code 2014 for my supplier, if I drop down on the purchase order number, I'm presented with a list of outstanding purchase orders. And here I can select my order, and it selects the whole order for me. If I only wanted to partially receipt, then I could make adjustments to my purchase order lines here. Also in version 2024.2, Greentree have fixed the search function in the report viewer. This allows you to search for text or numbers in any Greentree report. So if we take a quick look, I'm going to run the inventory valuation report. So reports, inventory valuation report. I'll run it to the end of last month. And click preview. So this is the Greentree report previewer. And up here you have some binoculars that will find text anywhere in the report. So if I search for an inventory item and then click OK, it will go through the pages and find that item for me. For a long time now, the advanced password management settings have been available in the Greentree desktop version, but in version 2024.2, Greentree have extended those settings to WebView. So advanced password management length and complexity settings now apply to WebView credentials for customers, salespeople, suppliers, and temporary users. In version 2024.3, Greentree Desktop and the eModules now support multi-factor authentication using the Windows Authentication app or the Authenticator app of your choice. It's quite easy to set up under System, System Setup, General System Preferences. On the Account Settings tab, there's now a Require Multi-Factor Authentication tick box. You can choose to turn it on for all users straight away, or you can control its rollout using Greentree Teams. So on team maintenance, there is now a new tick box when this option is selected. So system setup, team maintenance. And if I look at a team that I've set up, MFA, there's now a tick box here to say require multi-factor authentication for this team. Once this is enabled, when users from this team next log into the Greentree desktop application, they'll be prompted to set up their multi-factor authentication. So let's have a little look at that process. If I go File, Login, you can see I'm now prompted to scan this QR code, or I can choose Add Manually, where it'll give me a number to type into my Authenticator app. So in the background, I've now enabled MFA for this account on my phone. I can choose Login, and it'll ask me for my one-time password. And then I choose Login, and I can enter the system. In scenarios where users don't have access to their phone or their authenticator, then they can choose to email themselves a one-time password, or they can ask the system administrator to generate one for them. By choosing this Another Way option, and they can choose either email or speak to the administrator who will give them a one-time password. When reviewing team and user system access, via the team and user security form, Greentree have made it easier to identify inactive users. So under System, System Setup, Team and User Security, by default now this form will display active users, and then in the top right you now have a tick box to display inactive users. Any user or team that is inactive will display in the list highlighted in red text, so you can easily identify which users or teams have been made inactive in your system.
Thanks, Ash. My name's Nicola Ashburner and I'm one of the client relationship managers at Verde. So Ash has just taken you through the things that have already been released last year, and note that that was just an overview of some of the bigger adjustments. There's also been a lot of smaller things that have been added, and these are all listed in the release notes. If you don't have a link to the URL for the link to the release notes, then please reach out to your consultant, or we can put it in the chat if that helps as well. So I'm now going to take you through the upcoming releases. So 2025.1 is due out in mid-May. Part of that includes the NZ payroll compliance update that was due to changes introduced by the IRD. But because these take effect from the 1st of April 2025, they're now available as a small update if your Greentree version is 2023.2 or later. So 2023.2 is the last supported release from MYOB. So all payroll clients should have heard from their consultant by now, as some of you may require an upgrade before the 1st of April. As you have just heard, multi-factor authentication is now available for the desktop version and eModules as part of 2025.1 that is being extended to the WebView, Web Store, and the browser modules. MYOB have introduced MFA in order to future-proof Greentree, as various organisations that currently interact or may interact with Greentree in the future are making MFA mandatory, such as the Australian Tax Office. So they're just trying to get ahead of the game there. As you saw, it's not mandatory for everybody to be on MFA. You can just use selected users, but for those who are connecting with those external systems, it may become mandatory in the future. There are also a couple of auto numbering additions. So one is for batch numbers when importing transactions through Free. So I'm sure a lot of you will be pleased to see that change. And then also auto numbering for cash management payments. So also coming up in a future release is eInvoicing. So MYOB are starting with receiving e-invoices from suppliers, and they're going to be using extractor scraping, which is already in place for eDocs. Late in the year, MYOB will start on the sending of e-invoices to customers, but Verde is looking at implementing that earlier. So I will hand over to Vlad to explain more about this.
Yeah, thanks Nicola. Hi, I'm Vlad, and I'm also, like Nicola, a client relationship manager. I thought I'd just touch briefly on what e-invoicing is before we get into the sending of invoices. So e-invoicing is the digital exchange of invoice information directly between buyers and suppliers, financial systems, even if those systems are different. So as Nicola said before, there are two components to this. There's the sending of AR invoices to your customers, and also the receiving of AP invoices from your suppliers. In terms of standards, e-invoicing uses PEPOL, which is short for the Pan-European Public Procurement Online Interoperability Framework, which is managed by MB here in New Zealand. PEPOL's currently used by 32 countries, with more countries planning to adopt it in the near future. And as you've heard, MYOB is intending releasing the receiving of e-invoices in 2025 and have the sending of e-invoices on the pipeline for 2026, but obviously that can be subject to change. We have a customer who has a requirement to receive the functionality around sending of e-invoices as soon as possible. And so we're in the process of developing an app, and we're keen to know if anyone else is interested in this as well. What it will do is use the same concept as eDocs does currently. We'll be creating a new eDoc type called AR Invoice. That type will have scrape integration turned on, so that an eDoc is created from an AR invoice when it's saved, which will then be sent to Extractor for both scraping and transmission to the customer using payroll. There'll be 3 settings on the customer record. Firstly, do you want to send invoices as e-invoices? So not all customers need to have this set on. And you will then nominate what the payroll country code is and the payroll participant identifier. And there's also going to be an option whether or not you want to send a copy of the PDF invoice to the customer, as well as the payroll e-invoice being sent by Extractor. During the printing of invoices from the reports print invoice menu option, for those customers flagged to have invoices sent as an e-invoice, an eDoc will be created and sent to Extractor for extraction and transmission. And then, as I'm no doubt for those using eDocs will know, we can have various desktop panels available to be able to display the status of eDocs, probably particularly ones which are awaiting send, and those that may have received an error in trying to send via payroll. We haven't exactly defined the pricing yet, but likely to be just a transaction processing fee, no cost for the app itself. The indicative prices that I've put there aren't for the number of invoices that you process per year. It's only going to be for the number of invoices you choose to send as e-invoices. And in terms of time frame, we're expecting this to be available in the next 6 to 8 weeks. All right, that's all from me.
In Verde schema, we've extended the kitset functionality, allowing multi-level kitsets. In standard Greentree, parent kitset items can't be added to another kitset. But when this tick box is enabled, parent items can become sub-components of other kitsets. If you'd like more information on this, please contact your consultant for a demo. Appenate, this is me. Hi, everyone. This is live Ash this time. I'm going to take you through a new app called Appenate that we've partnered with and show you some little pre-recorded demonstrations of how it interfaces with Greentree. So next slide, please. So Appenate has a great web UI that allows users to, power users to create their own apps, if you like. It's got great drag and drop functionality. There's a catalog of example apps that you can start from, and it has its own built-in task management system. And I've just listed some of the fields that you can capture within the app. So string text, you have choice fields, date and time pickers, you can capture signatures, photos and videos, and based on the text and choices that are picked, you can build formulas to display different information in the app. Next slide. So the app itself will run on any device that has iOS, Android, or Windows. It interfaces with the device's GPS, so great for field service solutions. The app has OCR functionality to capture text and stuff in images. And the app also works offline. So any information that's captured in the app will be fed back to Greentree or any other system that we're interfacing with, when a user is back online. And I have prepared some screenshots, I think, on the next slide. Yep. So here's some examples of some of the screens that we've already built. So you have the first image is like the splash screen of the apps within Appenate, an example of our approval screen, and some data entry screens on the as the two last images. But I've prepared some video demos, so let's take a look at those. Now let's take a look at the Greentree approvals. So I click on the Approvals app, and it displays a list of all of the approvals that are linked to my Greentree account. So whether that be AP invoices, purchase orders, and I've got some suppliers there as well. So anything with an approval code that requires my approval in Greentree is also reflected here in the Appenate Greentree Approvals app. Let's just take a quick look at an AP invoice. So if I click on it, it loads the invoice and the associated lines. So at the moment, it just displays what you see in the Greentree approval screen, and we're also working to bring through any linked PDFs. So if there is an attached invoice, hopefully in the future, you'll be able to see that in the app as well. So from this point, I can either choose to approve or reject. If I choose reject, then I have to give a rejection reason. Or I can choose approve, and then I click save approval. And again, I can come back to the history and see that my approval has been sent. So once a user logs into Appenate, this is the screen they see, the catalog of apps that they have access to. And right now we're going to take a look at the Greentree purchase order entry app. So if I click on here, it loads my purchase order entry screen. And for those that are familiar with entering a purchase order into Greentree, this follows a similar format in that the information you see here is the header section of the purchase order. So you have a date picker to populate the date of the purchase order. We have a supplier selection, and as soon as I start typing in here, it'll search the entire database for a supplier with matching text. And I can select any of these to populate as my supplier. This list of suppliers is updated from the last time that the device had internet connection. So if I choose Blackwood IT Tools, and then the narration populates the header narration field. This is the header narration. So in this demo app, I have access to IN lines and GL lines. So the user picks which they'd like to enter. So I'm going to choose both, and it creates the table of lines below. Of course, we can add fixed asset, non-stock, and other types of lines to this as well. So I'm going to click on this button here to load up the inventory lines. And just like we saw with the suppliers, I can search for a stock item. And again, I get a selection of anything that contains the text that I've typed in. And then I can choose the location in Greentree. Enter a quantity and a price. This price that we've added to this form is inclusive of GST. And then a description. So I can choose new line and it will save this line and present me with a blank form to choose another stock item, or I can click done and it'll add that to my stock item table and bring me back to the main purchase order entry screen. So then I can come to my GL lines and do the same. So in here I can search for GL codes or GL descriptions. It's all concatenated in this search field. So I can start typing a number for the GL code, or I can type some text. Pick a code, and just like you do in Greentree, you can type in a subcode if you like. If it's a quantity account, then you can put in the quantity. I'm just going to put in a price. And a line narration. And just like you saw previously, I can choose new line or I can click done. So at this point, if someone was working in an area where they had no coverage or no connection to the internet, they can exit this screen and they can choose to save and exit. And it brings them back to the splash screen. And above my purchase order entry icon, I can now see that I've got a record that hasn't been submitted based on this little one. So if I go back into the PO entry, I can choose to either go straight to create a new one, or I can view my saved records. And then it presents me with a table of saved records. So I can choose that one that I was entering to open. And now that I'm back in coverage, I can choose save and sync completed. So that's been sent back to Greentree. A cool little feature as well, if I go back to the main screen, there's a little history button that shows all of the synchronizations that I've done from the app, and I can see my PO entry today. Now let's take a look at timesheet entry. So the idea behind this app is that users will add timesheet lines as they work throughout the day. So they'll pick the date that they're timesheeting for, and then come down into the line section and add their timesheet lines as they go. So let's click this button. The top line shows the selected job, and this line allows us to search for a job. So let's look for building maintenance. So I start typing and it searches for across all jobs for the text that I've entered. So I'm going to choose maintenance buildings, and then I choose an activity code and select a work center, and then choose a start and end time. I'm going to go from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. This would be a lot easier on a phone. There we go. And then I click the back arrow and it takes me back to my main timesheet. And then I can add another line. Maintenance. Pick my activity code, my work center, and my start time. I'll set from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And then click the back arrow, and there's my 2 timesheet lines. So once users have finished entering their timesheet for that date, they can then click the arrow at the top and then choose upload to send to Greentree. And again, they can come back into the history, click into their timesheet, review it, and if they need to make any changes, they can.
Ash, do you mind just giving us an overview of the requirements for an Appenate and also the trial?
Yes, so the Appenate app requires the Greentree API module plus a rules bundle that we put together. And if you would like a trial of the app, please speak to us, either myself or your consultant, and we can set up the trial period for you. I think there is a slide, but we can come back to that later.
Tips and tricks. Some of these were covered off at the last user group, but worthy of a mention to different audience members or as a refresher for those who have upgraded and now have access to the newer tip. If you don't have access to the last user group recording, then talk to your consultant about sending it to you or ask one of us. First off is the popular float function. This gives you the ability to move a form off your current screen and onto your second screen. It therefore gives you access to two screens without having to log onto another session and use up a license. The menu search gives you access to searching within both the menu and globally, as well as quick access to your bookmarks, favorites, and recently used items. How to change periods in bulk was a question raised at the last user group, so I have included it here. This is a script you can use to update current and last open periods for multiple modules and companies. If you have Verde add-ons, Verde Explorer allows you to search for a transaction as well as contact customers, jobs, and organizations. Last year, the ability to add a search function to a report parameter was added, along with the ability to add display-only text to a form. The icons against address fields give you the ability to open maps, email addresses, and web pages from within Greentree if your organization allows it. Lastly, there is the inbuilt query designer tool allowing users to write their own queries on MYOB Greentree data. Let's have a look at these. Float will apply to the form you are on at the time. Using window float makes that form movable so you can drag it off to your other screen. You will be able to refer to it while using another form on your first screen. Either close it or use Windows Dock to bring it back to the first screen once done. If you can't remember where a particular menu item is, clicking on the plus icon on the top left of your screen brings up this box. If you start typing part of a menu name and enter, it will bring up a list of all menu items with that word in them. You can also use the global search across the system, as well as favorites, bookmarks, and most recently used. There was a full demonstration of this in last year's user group recording. Then this next script will bring up this selection box. You can tick or untick the modules and companies you wish to update calendars for, and then select the relevant month at the bottom. One of the options is no change, so you don't have to update both. This is an example of searching for a transaction. It is useful if you have both AR and JC invoices and you aren't sure which one a customer is referring to, or for finding a customer receipt on a wrong account. Alternatively, you may only have an address for a customer, so you can change the search criteria to find the customer record with that address. Adding a search field to a report came out last year. You can watch the demonstration in last year's user group recording. It searches on the property the parameter is for, but you can add other display fields. A demonstration of adding display fields is also in last year's user group recording. This is useful for adding relevant information, such as, in this case, additional information about the customer and the invoice. The address icons are displayed by user preference, but if you do have them, they will open a map from a physical address, your email program from an email address, or a web page from the web address. One of our favourite tools within Greentree is the Query Designer. Users can write their own flexible queries with customizable and exportable outputs using drag and drop or searching for properties. You can limit who sees the queries and they run efficiently in the background. There are a few examples on the next slides. This one is a list of unapplied transactions, useful when wanting to know what you need to apply. This shows an example of the new constants, conditions and calculations functionality that came out last year. This one has nested conditions and shows you can have ands and ors, which you can't do in Explorer query. And finally, you can export them on a scheduled basis, for example, each morning. Next up, we will be looking at some of the apps for Greentree we have written as shareable customisations accessed on a subscription basis. Starting with a reminder about the premium pack with over 60 apps included. You can use as many or as few as you need from the pack. Information on all our apps is on appsforgreentree.com. Now here's Michelle with a couple of new apps.
Hello and welcome to a demonstration of one of Apps for Greentree new apps called AP Aged Balance Enhancements Payment Term Selection Criteria. It is app code 010191. This app offers the ability to filter select the AP Aged Balance report by a supplier's default AP payment terms. To access the report, go to the menu's Reports menu, then the Accounts Payable and Aged Balance Report Payment selection. This report has all the same original filters from the AP Aged Balances report, now with a added drop down menu of the payment terms to filter to a specific supplied payment term. Once your payment selection is made, select the Print or Preview button to generate the report. Hi and welcome to a demonstration of one of Apps for Greentree new apps called AR Overdue Invoice Reminders. This is app code 010188. This app provides the functionality to automatically send email reminders to customers with overdue invoices. The email is sent with PDF attachments and a table within the email listing the overdue invoices to the parent account set in Greentree. The goal is to leverage automated messaging to save you time making phone calls and sending copies of invoices, ensuring consistent communication with customers with emails reminding them of their overdue invoices with attached PDF copies. Set up areas for this app are the app module settings, email templates, small amount of customer maintenance configuration, and then finally scheduling the emails. Starting with the app module settings, so under System, Apps for Greentree and Apps Module Control, find the Overdue app and then go to the Change Settings. The app module settings for this app will allow you to exclude customers, which is set in the customer maintenance via UDF. Set the credit controller tree, the signatory contact within the templates, also set at customer level. And then you can also set to exclude customers who are on stock credit. And finally, define the number of days overdue per template before an email is sent and the ability to repeat templates if required, as follow-up emails. Multiple templates can be set up for requirement, anything from a friendly reminder to a final reminder. Moving over to email templates, the email messages are sent based on the number of days overdue, set in the AR invoice due date, and is sent in HTML format using email template maintenance, which is under System Setup, Email Template Maintenance. Email template maintenance came into Greentree under version 2023.20, and it allows you the ability to edit and review internally. For any users who are not familiar with email templates, please contact your Verde consultant, or we have a demonstration from a previous customer user group. There's a template pre-created for this video. With the addition of specific tags which will be included in the app release notes, the email template will contain a table listing the overdue invoices and attaches copies of each overdue invoice in PDF format, as well as the total overall balance. Where applicable, that includes the child balances summed with the parent account balance. The app sends a single email to the parent account only. The tags, as mentioned, are highlighted below for reference, which is the table, the summed overdue balance, and a credit controller. Reminders are recorded against the customer account in Email Tracker, and here is a preview of the notification. So here is your summed balance with the table of overdue invoices listing each invoice overdue, and then the credit controller. Moving over to the scheduling of the emails. Once all the setup is complete, you have the option of running a script manually. However, the app was designed to save time by being able to be scheduled to send out the reminders automatically based on the AR invoice due date. So that's through Process and then Task Scheduler. File of the reminder messages sent can be saved to a specific location for reviewing. And as mentioned, the emails are tracked on the customer record via Email Tracker. Includes the preview of the AR Overdue Invoice Reminder app, and I hope you found this useful. If you'd like to know more about this app, please contact your Verde consultant at any time. Thanks for your time.
The first of the featured apps that I'd like to show you today is the Foreign Currency Local Currency Entry app. This app will allow entry of local currency amounts on AR receipt and AP payments to calculate the conversion rate from the known local currency value. So it's useful if you can see on the bank statement what you've received or what you're going to pay, and Greentree will reverse calculate the conversion rate for you. So let's have a look at this customer. I should have an outstanding invoice, and if I click on the Create Receipt button, I tick off the outstanding invoices that they've paid, and then I've got a local currency value in the header here where I can enter an amount. So the outstanding foreign currency value is $750, so this is Australian dollars, and the system rate is 0.9, but I can see on the bank statement that I've actually received $823.56, and I click OK, and then Greentree reverse calculates the foreign currency rate for me. at which point then I can save and carry on. The next app I'd like to highlight is the View and Modify GL Journals on Transactions app. It's part of the premium pack of apps. So if you subscribe to that, you get the app as part of that. And it lets you drill into any type of transaction and then click on the GL icon to see the GL accounts updated by the transaction. And with a further right click on one of the GL lines, you can generate a new journal to recode any line to another GL account. So let's take a look. Here I've got an AR invoice entry and I've got my GL button here. So I can use this as a replacement for a GL batch edit listing. So I can just click on the button and see all of the accounts it's posted to. And then if I decide I want to recode it because actually it's been posted to the wrong sales account, I can do so by highlighting the line and right mouse clicking to create a recode journal. So I can choose a new sales account. I can choose a different posting date if I'm making the adjustment in another period. If I'm using transaction trees, I can also select a transaction tree, and I can give a reason which is going to show in the narration of the generated journal. And then create journal. So it tells me which account I've posted to and from, and then it gives me a batch number and a journal reference. And now when I look at this batch edit listing, I can see there's a little plus on the left-hand side. And if I expand that, it shows me the original line and then highlighted in red where I've now moved that value to. The next app is the Invoice Print Fee app. This app allows you to charge a fee for printing and sending a physical copy of a customer's invoice. It's driven based on the invoice delivery method, which is set on the customer maintenance screen on the defaults tab. So when the delivery method is set to print, Greentree will automatically assign the non-stock code print fee to any AR invoice raised against this customer. This can be disabled by ticking a UDF field on the custom tab. This field is called no print fee, and when you tick this, the non-stock code won't be added to the AR invoice. So if I show you and click the create invoice button, Greentree automatically adds my non-stock code with a fee for printing and sending the invoice. Next, I'm going to show you the Merge Inventory Item Codes app. This app is great because it allows you to clear out old stock code cluttering up your system or consolidate the historic transactions for similar items. The functionality allows you to select an individual item to merge with another or search for a range of items based on status, and then select multiple items to merge into a single stock code. This app adds functionality for a manual merge process, plus there is a script to perform multiple predefined merges. So let's take a little look at a stock item. So in order to merge an item into another stock item, the inventory item has to have 0 on hand, and it will take prior transactional history and move it over into the item that you're merging into. So I want to take this stock item, 1200 mm, and I'm going to merge it into 800 mm. So I select my 2 items and then click Search Now, and it confirms for me that 1200 mm has 0 on hand. So I can select it here. At this point, I have the option of saving, which will save this merge and process in the script that I was talking about earlier, or you can manually process now and merge the items. So I'm going to click Process and choose Yes. And it says merge was successful. So what that does is it deletes the old item. So 1200 mm is gone. And when I go to 800 mm, I can click on the transactions and see the transactions have been brought over from the old item. I can also click on the options button and click on the inventory code alias and see that 1200 mm has been merged into this item and the date it was merged on. This process is great because it means that you can keep the transactional history of the items that have been merged, and you can still search for old stock item codes and be returned to the new stock item code based on your inventory code aliases, which are stored here. The app setup also allows you to exclude inventory items based on their inventory analysis code. So you can say items that are part of the monitor analysis code cannot be merged, and the merge process will generate an error when you try and select one of those items.
So the demonstration on apps for Greentree app, bank interface receipts, app code 010144. This app was created to streamline processing customer receipts and reversals from your bank statements by importing your bank file to a workbench and having the option to generate receipts to customer accounts. The workbench for the import is under Process, Accounts Receivable, and then the bank interface import. This is a multi-step process allowing a file to be imported and then validated. Optionally, accounts receivable receipts created and matched to the invoices as well. The app and the interface configuration controls how the data in the file is read, the receipt creation and the matching process. At any point through the process, the data may be saved as a work in progress to return to later. Also can be deleted and re-imported if required. On import, this is what the workbench would look like. From the statement lines, it will bring in the amounts, any of the reference fields that you can see on here, as well as the dates per the statement. The input will also match customer codes where possible. The matched value, status of the import, and any errors it encounters. If the app is set up for auto receipting, on import it will create a receipt if set criteria is met and will display the receipt reference and total. Using the reference fields of the import, the app can be trained, validated to remember the same references for a customer account in future imports. You have the option to ignore imported lines by double-clicking on any line and selecting the ignore line, which updates then the error and it won't import after you've clicked on generate receipts. Error column also advises if a receipt already exists for the same customer, amount and outstanding value, as well as the date. That can optionally be generated anyway, either as an unallocated receipt or receipted to another customer account. So all of the lines have been selected to ignore, do not already have a receipt, are matched and validated. By generating receipts, the app will go through and create the AR receipts against the accounts selected. In a possible scenario, if you have generated your receipts, you can come back into the import where you've maybe selected to ignore the line. You have the ability to manually create a receipt from here by double clicking into the receipt column of the line. From there, it will show you the import details, so you can see where you are at, and then go and choose the customer that you wish that to go against. And finally, as an add-in to the existing app, we now have the ability to import dishonored receipts, which can be pulled into the same daily bank statement if you do daily. On generate receipts, the app will find the same amount paid previously and create a reversal receipt journal, leaving the previously paid invoices outstanding again. And that is the end of this app demonstration. For more information about this app, please visit MYOB Greentree. Again, it's app 010144, or talk to your Verde consultant. Thanks for your time.
Okay, well, thank you for the presenters, and also thank you to those who have been interacting with us through the Q&A box. Do we have any questions that people would like to come off mute and ask of the team members here? No takers? You can also obviously reach out to your consultants or any of us who have been on the presentation as well. One of the questions that I will just mention is about Appenate, just in terms of we've just developed some screens for you, but those are, as Ash alluded to, are very much customizable by you, and then we just provide the links to the fields. And we were also looking at working on adding different line types to the, especially to the PO entry, because we would obviously like to have the JC lines, success lines, etc. as well. As you can imagine, JC lines are a little bit more complicated than a simple purchase order line of an inventory item, but that is something that we would like to be leading up to as well. When you get a recording of this video, you will also see the requirements that are needed for Appenate as well, that Ash mentioned. So if there are no other questions or anybody else would like to say anything on here, oh, there you go. Thank you, Anita. Let's back to Appenate. And yeah, reach out if you would like to have more information about it, or start your 30-day trials through us so that we have access to your screens. Just don't start your 30-day trial until you're ready, because 30 days is not as long as you think. Got 2 more minutes. No more questions, we'll finish there. Okay, all right, well, thank you everybody for attending. Have a good day.
Thank you.